Welcome you all to Believers as Academy, and in this today's topic of discussion, we will be understanding about the Hatti tribes for their unique aspect, and we will try and understand what the unique aspect that we are discussing about. So it is basically about the polyandry that they follow in their community, which is in use, which we will be dwelling in. So why is it a news? Because in a very recent fresh incident in Himachal Pradesh, basically the area where they reside, the Hatti tribes, has brought attention because of the revival of an age-old practice of polyandry. So now, what is polyandry? As the name says, poly means multiple, andry refers to marriages. So the revival of an age-old practice of polyandry in Himachal Pradesh region, especially in the Hatti tribes, is a news where a where a woman is supposedly married to the brothers of the same family, right? So that is in news. So now it is important from the UPSC's perspective to understand whether this provision is legally accepted in India, or in the first place, to understand about the tribe. And even this video holds good even for anthropology optional students as well. Well, now who are these Hatti tribes? So let's understand some basic features about this particular tribe. So they are a very close knit tribal community. Okay, not too much in the exposure of the society that we see them. It's a very close knit tribal community along the Himachal Pradesh Uttarakhand border, mainly in the Sirmaur district. Okay, so they are majorly found in the Sirmaur district of Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand region. So the very reason why we call them Hatti, or the Hatti tribes, the name, it has come because of the word hut, which means the local markets where these tribes sell their crops, vegetables and meat. Simple. Now, amongst these Hatti tribes, we have two classification. The clan is divided into two major subdivisions. One is the Transgiri region, which is predominantly seen in the Himachal Pradesh area. Another one is Jaunsar-Bawar in the Uttarakhand region. Of course, these are some of the important points which are required from the exam's prelims point of view. And now let's try and see the scheduled tribe status of this particular group. They were granted the scheduled tribe status in the year 2023, giving them constitutional benefits and recognition. So now let's try and understand what polyandry means. As we discussed before, poly means multiple, andry refers to marriage. So it is a practice where a person let's say involves in getting married to multiple spouses. It could be a man marrying multiple women, or a woman marrying multiple men. So that concept is called polyandry. Now, polygyny is when a man marries multiple women, or when he takes multiple wives. We call that terminology polygyny. And polyandry is when a woman takes multiple men as her husband. Okay, so now let's see if this condition is legal or not in the Indian perspective. And even before that, we will try and understand the terminologies in detail. So as I already discussed, polyandry is a form of polygamy where woman has multiple husbands. And amongst the Hatti tribes, the term they use is called as the Jodidara or the Jajda. Now, why polyandry? So now we know that Hatti tribes do follow it, and one important question to think about is: does India have a legal provision for polyandry, or is polygamy followed in India? In fact, to some extent, it is prohibited. Of course, Hindu Marriage Act completely prohibits the practice, but the Special Act marriages, under which multiple, sorry, not the special act, but the Muslim Shariat law has some provision where a Muslim man has provisions where he can take up to 3 to 4 wives. Okay, but still, why polyandry is followed in this tribe? Let's see. One is to prevent land fragmentation. What they believe is that if a man, or let's say if the kids in the house, especially the sons, they get married to two different women, it's a very innocent understanding of theirs that when they marry, they partake what's theirs, and eventually there will be a divide in the entire land. The land gets fragmented. So it's a very simple and a humble concept where they think that if these two men, if they are gotten married to a single lady, then obviously there will not be a chance of fragmentation. One of the reason, and this is the reason, one of the age old reason which makes them follow this polyandry concept. Then is the family, to maintain the family unity. So brothers sharing a single wife keeps the family assets and property together, which doesn't sound good in the present relevance, but culturally speaking, this is not a joke, at least considering the indigenous nature of the tribe that we are talking about. Okay, and it also talks about the advantages of economic sustainability, as it reduces the financial strain on the family by maintaining a single household. Makes sense. So what is the current status? As we discussed, while less community today, polyandry still holds cultural significance. Yes, of course. And it is illegal under the Indian law, we mentioned, we discussed, but also certain laws, especially the Muslim Shariat law, does allow polyandry in polygamy in some ways, especially the polygyny, where a man is allowed to take multiple wives. And now here this polyandry of the Hatti tribes is allowed under the customary tribal law in the Himachal Pradesh as recognized by the state revenue law. So there's an exception for this. Okay, so I hope this is clear. So now talking about the polyandry with respect to Indian law. So as we already mentioned, the Indian law, the Hindu Marriage Act 1995, polyandry is illegal. However, customary tribal practices are often protected under Article 13. These are very important arguments that you have to know in order to support this concept polyandry with respect to India. And with respect to the Himachal Pradesh revenue law, it recognizes Jodidara. So Jodidara is the polyandry, the definition, the term polyandry, that these communities follow. It's called as Jodidara, that we discussed in the previous slides. So Himachal Pradesh revenue law, it recognizes Jodidara as a customary right for the Hatti tribe, allowing this practice to continue. So we also discussed about its importance for the UPSC's perspective. As I mentioned, it is going to be very helpful for the optional papers of sociology and anthropology students, where they can study or bring inclinations when they study chapters like kinship, family structure, and customary laws. Also for the GS, it becomes important, where you can try and understand this from the tribal rights and governance point of view. And in GS1, especially the Indian society, this can be a very good example to show how traditional practices evolve due to economic and geographical conditions, right? So in the end, it is not a topic to be disregarded or made fun of, because ultimately this is about a very indigenous tribe, very innocent, very indigenous, a tribe that must be protected for their cultural interests. And it may seem unusual in modern times, but this highlights how geography, economy, and traditional values shape societal norms. Okay, so for UPSC aspirants, this is a very good example where they can use them as feeder for their essay, GS papers, and even for that matter the optional. Anyway, that's all for today's video. For more such informative content, please do subscribe to Believers IAS Academy YouTube channel. And signing off, this is Madan Gopal. Have a beautiful day.